I know that the Bolsheviks were total pieces of shit because of Hrushevsky. You had Hrushevsky. You also had Nestor Makhno. You had Hrushevsky and Nestor Makhno. You also had Vynnychenko. That's how I know the Bolshevik communists were pieces of shit. You also had Kronstadt and Kruty. Whole bunch of reasons to fucking Bolshevik communists. They're imperfect. We can learn from their mistakes, okay? Jesus Christ. Lenin said the people are just a fiction. The people are just a fiction that politicians use and abuse. Peace, land, and bread. All power to the Soviets, from each according to their ability to each according to their needs. He didn't give a fuck about any of that shit. Fuck the Bolshevik communists. This is a Fred Hampton leftist critique of the Bolshevik communist. The people are fiction. No, the people are fucking real. They are very much real there, Lenin. Fucking Cinnamon Lenin. Old Cinnamon Lenin. Mikhailo Hrushevsky. He was the one that controlled the Central Rada. They had 822 representatives at the Central Rada. That was the Ukraine. A Ukraine built for Ukrainians. A Ukraine of, by, and for the Ukrainians. And it was a socialist government. So that's what the fucking Bolshevik communists did. They overthrew a goddamn nationalistic Ukrainian socialist government. That's how fucking... They just wanted goddamn power. They didn't want what was best for the people. They just wanted to take power. Ukraine could provide all the land, peace, and bread for themselves, but the communists, they didn't give a fuck about that. No, they did not. Mikhailo Hrushevsky was a socialist. Hrushevsky was a leftist. He wanted a socialist Ukraine. He wanted land, peace, and bread for his people. He wrote the first major history of the Ukraine. And he included in the history of the Ukraine the Kievan Rus and the Scythians, the Scythians, and the Cossacks. Khrushchev, he claims that he's a free Cossack. 1917, you had the Russian Constituent Assembly. 1918, Soviet Constitution. Today's Finland, Bolivia, Denmark, Canada. You want better examples for the Bolsheviks? You want, they're against democracy. These motherfuckers didn't care about what the people of Russia cared about. The people of Russia had a constituent assembly in 1917, and you know who they elected? They elected 200 Bolsheviks, but you know who they elected? 400 social revolutionaries. So they elected 200 more social revolutionaries. So the Russian people, they're not Bolsheviks. The Russian people are social revolutionaries. Or at least at that time they were. But the minority Bolshevik cheaters got their fucking way with, by being fascist. They would have been, the fucking main opposition bloc. They would have been goddamn a political party forever and ever. But instead, the majority social revolutionaries only got to have their say, at gunpoint. But Lenin, Trotsky, and Stalin, instead of doing democracy, instead of reflecting the will of the Russian people, they foisted themselves upon the government and the people. And even though they only locked the social revolutionaries out of the Constituent Assembly at first, later on they're going to start killing social revolutionaries. You're going to kill Russians who wanted peace, land, and bread. They killed the Russians who genuinely wanted peace, land, and bread for their people. So the Bolsheviks didn't want to be the main number 2 political party for Russia and wait 5 years and then, convince the people that their political programs are better and get elected president or prime minister. No. The Bolshevik communists basically just killed everybody who wasn't on their fucking team. Not just the royalists, not just the bourgeoisie, not just the plutocrats and the oligarchs, but socialists and liberals and social revolutionaries and communists who weren't Bolsheviks. Hey, I'm a communist, I'm just not a Bolshevik. Well, get on the line. The Soviet Constitution, there's no Bill of Rights in the Soviet Constitution. No Bill of Rights, no referendum recall initiative, no elections, no democracy, no ranked choice voting, no republic, no strong voter ID laws, no presidents, no voting for everybody, no popular suffrage. Communists say all power to the Soviets, but really they don't care about the people at all, or else they'd believe in elections and freedom and democracy and freedom of speech and the right to assemble. It's quite incredible that the 3 big communists, Stalin, Lenin, Trotsky, they weren't able to create a communist system that was in concert with the Bill of Rights, civic republicanism, elections, electing presidents. That would have helped the communists. Could you imagine collecting the presidents of the communists. That would have collected those like baseball cards. My God, the president. Here's the first communist president. Here's the second communist president. Democracy also aids in alleviating man's penchant for exploiting man. My ideal self says that we could get all 9 billion people. Was it 9 billion people? How many people we got on the globe? Let's check it out. Total population of Earth. Not 9 million, okay. 7.7 billion. So less than 8 billion people. But I can envision a world where all 8 billion people on the planet get together and we vote on all the issues. My ideal self says we could do that. We could vote, if not all the issues unanimously, then how about the major important issues of the day? Can we all get together and vote on the major important issues that affect all of humanity? I can envision all of 8 billion people getting together and making those decisions. But you have fucking Leon Trotsky and fucking Joe Stalin and Vlad the Mad fucking Lenin. They couldn't figure out a way for 3 guys to work together. They could have shared power with like a triumvirate. But have elections. Instead of having elections, instead of having democracy in a republic, you had Stalin what? Stalin poisoned Lenin? And then he took an ice pick to Trotsky's head? That's the fucking 3 godfathers. That's the forefathers of communism. One took an ice pick to the other one and poisoned the other one. And it's like the Bolsheviks heard about the French Revolution's reign of terror, but they didn't hear about America's revolution where you had the consent of the governed and constitutionalism, Bill of Rights, and individual freedoms. And it's been crazy. John Adams, poisoned George Washington and then took an ice pick to Thomas Jefferson's head. I'm glad it wasn't that fucked up. That'd been hard to follow. That's a terrible fucking end. That was not all their attention to detail and administration. That's how that went down. That's how their little team went down. They should have been like, wow, today's good days. Times are good today. Everybody's doing good today. Finland, Bolivia, Denmark. Today we got democratic socialists all over the place. It's better than a communist Bolshevik? A democratic socialist who's elected presidency and who can actually pass money out to the people. They were democratically elected, so they have the consent of the governed. And then once they get that legitimacy, they can legitimately dole out fucking bread to people. They were able to convince enough people to vote for them. So they like their platform. They like their political platform. They like the promises that they were offering. When it comes to the Bolsheviks wanted every which way. They wanted every which way, and by having it every which way, they ended up having it no which way. You want to nationalize everything, you want all power to the Soviets, but no power to the people with a democracy? What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Now, are we supposed to have democracy in our Soviets, or do we just go with the fucking asshole that beats the shit out of everybody else? Well, that guy's a better leader, but he's gonna, beat the shit out of everybody else. But he's a Nazi, I know, but I'm scared of him. I mean, no. Communism is not the perfect socialism. Finland is the perfect socialism. Canada is the perfect socialism. Netherlands is the perfect socialism. Communism, Bolshevik, they fucking hurt socialism. They hurt Marxism. They hurt liberalism. They hurt the left fucking cause. Uruguay, Sweden, Germany, France, Norway, Iceland, they all run circles around the Bolshevik communists. Even FDR, we have Social Security. We got some fucking liberal programs here. You get elected to office, then you have, legitimacy. What, you're an asshole who just wants power? Get in line, motherfucker. It's called being a fucking human being. You have a will to power. No fucking shit, motherfucker. That's why we have a democracy, because when your will to power trumps your love of the people, then that's when you need to, get the fuck on home, motherfucker. It's time for you to hit the road, Jack. Nah, hit the road, hit the curb, motherfucker. Time for you to go home. Nah, you can't be president no goddamn more. Finland has, perfect socialism. Canada's got perfect socialism. Bolivia, Netherlands, Luxembourg, these are the happiest, most democratic countries in the entire world. Have, 10% poverty, very few poverty, very small. They got good capitalism, good socialism going on in Sweden and Germany and France and Norway and Iceland. The fuck we need Bolshevik communists for? We don't need no Bolshevik fucking communists. The only reason the Bolshevik communists got away with their shit is because America's been such a fanatic when it comes to being capitalist. And you know what? I live in America. We're not capitalist either. So, haha, world, tricked you. We have no ideology. We're Americanism. So yeah, it'd be smarter, instead of learning Leninism or Trotskyism or motherfucking Maoism, it'd be better to learn Evo Moralism. It'd be better to learn Eva Magdalena Anderssonism. She's the Prime Minister of Sweden today. How about fiery Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand? It'd be better to, do some Jacindaism or some Ardernism or Katrin Jakobsdottirism. She's the Prime Minister of Iceland. So Jakobsdottirism? Yeah, I'd like to hear about your Jakobsdottirism. What do you think about that? Usually a bunch of sexist, communist Bolsheviks are a bunch of sexists. They couldn't. Katrin Jakobsdottir? What about Mette Frederiksen, Denmark, Sanna Marin in Finland, President of Finland and Sweden and Norway and Netherlands and Denmark and Iceland? What's incredible about fucking modern day democratic socialists is they don't have all that baggage of, killing everybody and anybody and all over the fucking place. Peace, land, and bread. No, the Bolshevik communists just had blood, and blood. Democratic socialists are infinitely better than the communists. Motherfucking Bolsheviks just flipped off democracy time and time again. Motherfucking commie, motherfucking bastards. Anti-Ukrainian Constituent Assembly, anti-Russian Constituent Assembly. They didn't even care about their own Ukrainian or their own Russian people, the fucking Bolshevik communists. Communists didn't care if they had peace, land, and bread. They didn't care if the social revolutionaries who were elected got to maintain power. They killed the fucking Russians who the Russian people loved. Oh, what? You love those people? So they killed the people that the Russian people loved. The Russian people loved the social revolutionaries. So the Bolsheviks, you love them better? You love them more? So they had to kill them. I like Karl Marx. I like Fred Hampton. I like, all those leaders, the prime ministers, because they don't have all that blood on their goddamn hands. Karl Marx was just a theoretician, right? He was just a theoretician. Jacinda Ardern, she's the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Katrin Jakobsdottir. Evo Morales used to be the President of Bolivia. Eva Magdalena Andersson, the Prime Minister of Sweden. Sanna Marin, the Prime Minister of Finland. Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen. So you have, I think they're all women too. Sweden, New Zealand, Iceland, Denmark, Finland. All their leaders, their prime ministers are women, but they're also democratically socialist, right? They didn't just take power. There's a process. There was a process, and they became whichever one's democratic socialist. That's the one I like. But it'd be great for their legacy, but fuck, it's not fair. Why weren't the goddamn communists, Bolshevik communists, why weren't they in concert with Republican democracy? Why weren't they in concert with social revolutionaries? You couldn't have got along with social revolutionaries? They believe in revolutionary socialism. You believe in revolutionary socialism. You can't find any common ground amongst yourselves? Motherfuck. What a bunch of egotistical fucking bloodthirsty psychopaths. They just wanted the fucking power. Oh yeah, you're smarter than everybody, huh? Fucking dickheads. Motherfucker. So yeah, that's why I like Katrin Jakobsdottir. She didn't kill a whole bunch of people to get power, and then she's not holding on to power by killing a bunch of people. She's not a communist Bolshevik. So the ones that have elected positions, prime ministers are different than presidents, but whatever. Germany does capitalism and communism better than America, so we could just try capitalism. Y'all want to try capitalism sometime? The Holodomor 1 and 2, they killed 1.5 million, then 4 million killed. What the fuck? These are communist Bolsheviks, peace, land, and bread. They're stealing our bread and killing the fuck out of us by the millions, by the bushel, by the goddamn dozens, thousands, by the fucking dozens and thousands, by the tens of thousands, by the tens of millions. No, by the tens, not the tens of millions, just by the millions. So instead of stealing bread, instead of giving us peace, land, and bread, they took our land, put us on farm collectives, stole our bread. Instead of peace, they give us a bunch of bloodshed. What the fuck? Every bit of their goddamn promises were lies. These politicians, they're nothing but standard, typical politicians. They're going to throw the poor people into farm collectives. And then Stalin is going to steal their wheat. So that way Stalin can eat, his family can eat well. Fucking stole the food, the Holodomor. Stalin stole the food from rural peasants in order to feed the urban workers. That's how you got Holodomor number 1, Holodomor number 2. And he hated the Ukrainians. He hated the peasants. He hated the Ukrainians. The Red Terror, the Civil War. 5 million people are going to get killed in the Civil War. The Red Terror is them killing Nestor, Makhno. He's a revolutionary. He fought with Lenin, but then they had a falling out. Then they're fighting against each other. The Black Revolutionary Army, the Ukrainian Russian Constituent Assembly. These are the enemies of the Bolshevik. If you're the enemies of the Black Revolutionary Army, then you're an enemy of mine. You're the enemy of Hrushevsky's Central Rada. You don't believe in socialism? You don't believe in a socialist Ukraine? Then fuck you, you Bolshevik commie motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. You don't believe in a goddamn socialist Ukraine, you pieces of shit. Vynnychenko's directorate forces. You don't believe in goddamn Ukraine. Again, Ukrainian socialism over and over again. Instead of getting goddamn peace, blood, and peace, land, and bread, you got blood, blood, and blood. Yeah, thanks a lot, Russian fucking Bolsheviks, communists, fucking commies. Hey, you're a bunch of commies, huh? So you're going to bring a bunch of mass rape and mass murders, huh? Mass rape and mass murder, that's a big, major sticking point with me. 5 million people were killed in the Russian Civil War. Some were silly royalists, no doubt, but the others, the others are social revolutionaries. Some were fighting for the Romanovs. Some were fighting for their slain king and queen. But the other ones were democratic socialists. They were revolutionary communists, just a different kind of revolutionary socialist, just different than you. Maybe they're more evolved, more leftist, Trotskys and Lenins and Stalins. How many more evolved, smarter, more intelligent Trotskys and Lenins and Stalins did Trotsky, Lenin, and Stalin kill? The Black Revolutionary Army didn't want Russia to take Ukraine. The Central Rada's army, Hrushevsky, didn't want Russia to take Ukraine. The Directorate's forces under Vynnychenko didn't want Russia to take Ukraine. That's the Democratic People's Republic of Ukraine. And they were socialist. They didn't, but the Bolsheviks, Putin, Russian czars, they don't give a damn about the Russian people or the Ukrainian people. They don't care about the people. The people is just a fiction to Lenin. Fred Hampton, there's a communist with funk. That's an American, Marxist Leninist. So he's a black activist, a revolutionary socialist. He's a leftist with soul, a communist with funk. I'm a Fred Hampton leftist because of his ideals. Lenin, Stalinism, Trotskyism, Bafam goo. Even Castroism is better than fucking Leninism, Trotskyism, Stalinism. But a Fred Hamptonist is an American socialist, a Black Panther. Yeah, we need to goddamn, restrain these goddamn cops. Cops are out of fucking control, are they not? He's also a Marxist-Leninist. He wanted, the poor to be fed. He said you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom. He said you can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. You don't solve racism with more racism. You solve it with more solidarity. You don't fight white capitalism with black capitalism. You fight it with socialism. But Fred Hampton's like those sailors at Kronstadt. He's like those young cadets at the Battle of Kruty in 1918, January 30th. Or the Kronstadt Mutiny, was it 1921? Fred Hampton bought into the fucking rhetoric and the bullshit. He actually thought that socialism was to get peace, land, and bread to everybody. He didn't have the ego that Trotsky, Lenin, and Stalin had. They couldn't even run shit as a triumvirate. If they didn't just steal power and then kill everybody, they wouldn't have been so suspicious of everybody from all sides for the rest of their life like fucking shit. John Adams didn't have to send millions of Americans to the Siberian gulags like so many Russian czars had to do. Nor did he have to fight and cling on to power. He got elected. 4 years later, he wasn't elected. And he stepped down. Imagine having democratic legitimacy. Imagine instead of having 3 assholes running, Russia for fucking 50 years, you had 5 assholes. You had, some superstars. Imagine having like a communist Lincoln or a communist fucking FDR or a communist Ronald Reagan, a communist Barack Obama. I think Milton Friedman, there's something to be said about Milton Friedman. Land and home ownership is good. They want to abolish private property. The Bolsheviks and the communists aren't truly Marx. Marxism wasn't to have socialism in just one country. It was to have the working masses, the working classes, get the dictatorship of the proletariat. Then once we got the socialist government, then we make our lives better. We make sure that the reactionary forces are repressed. We make sure our lives are better. Then once our lives are strong and we're independent, then the state just dissolves and withers away on its own. That's Marxism. But the Bolsheviks and communists, they didn't explain that part. The end result of Marxism is anarchy, no government, having a stateless, classless society. So the difference between the anarchists and the Marxists is that they both believe in anarchy at the end, but the Marxists believe that you have to take over the state first. Whereas the anarchists just want to stay pure forever. Oh, you just want to stay pure forever. The state is there, motherfucker. You got to do something with it. Pretend it's not there. No. You got to take over the state and then establish certain institutions so that way the reactionaries won't, make it go back the way that it was before, but also to make sure that everything's better. Make sure it's better for everybody. They want to banish private property. We should have banished fucking Stalin's clipboard. No. Should have banished Stalin's fucking pair of pants. No, those aren't your pants. Those are my pants. I don't respect your right to own that pair of pants that you're wearing right now. Give me those pair of pants you're wearing. You ban all private property. Get the fuck out of here. America's not even capitalist, so I think it's progressive just to be capitalist. Why don't you try, hey, America, try Milton Friedman capitalism. You want to try Milton Friedman capitalism anytime soon? Yeah, like you're a fucking capitalist. You want to try capitalism, maybe? I mean, you can't be lying, cheating, and stealing. No fraud. I mean, if you're being fraudulent, that's not, you're not even being a capitalist. You're just being a pile of shit. You're being a very good Bolshevik communist. If you don't know Milton Friedman, why, are you some kind of Bolshevik communist piece of shit? So the end goal of Marxism is no government, a dissolution of government, but the Bolsheviks and the communists, they're going to keep government forever and oppress people forever. The mutiny at Kronstadt, they, goddamn Bolsheviks killed thousands of fellow fucking Russians, fellow Bolsheviks, fellow, Russian revolutionaries. Fanny Efimовna Kaplan, she shot Lenin 3 times, wounded him. He's going to die like 4 years later. They're going to execute her. But they asked her why. She goes, well, my name, is Fanny Kaplan. Today I shot Lenin. I did it on my own. I will not say from whom I obtained my revolver. I will give no details. I resolved to kill Lenin years ago. I consider him a traitor to the revolution. I was exiled to Tui, Tui, for participating in an assassination attempt against a Tsarist official in Kiev. So the revolution in Russia went to Ukraine. And so Fanny Kaplan participated in the Russian Revolution, but she had to go to jail because she tried to kill a Tsarist official in Kiev. She spent 11 years in hard labor. Then the revolution came. She was freed. So she was a revolutionary long before the revolutionaries got there. She was a revolutionary 11 years before 1917. She was a revolutionary in 1906. She participated in the 1905 revolution. And she was a social revolutionary. She favored the Constituent Assembly. She's still for the Constituent Assembly. So if the people of Russia loved Lenin and his peace, land, and bread program so goddamn much, if the people of Russia were represented, through and through by the goddamn Soviets of Petrograd, how come Fanny shot Lenin in the neck and the lung and the shoulder? Why did Fanny Kaplan shoot Lenin in the neck and the lung and the shoulder? He just gave a speech at a factory, so clearly he's a man of by and for the working classes, right? He's up by and for the working masses and classes, yet here's a young Russian woman, a social revolutionary, who's trying to kill Lenin. Did she not get the message? He's there for her. He's trying to help her get peace, land, and bread. Russians didn't want Lenin. Russians didn't want Lenin. Fanny didn't want Lenin. Fanny Kaplan didn't want Lenin. She didn't ask for Lenin, never wanted Lenin. Lenin foisted himself like the fucking oppressor, molester, raping son of a bitch that he is. Last but not least, they're a bunch of fucking hypocrites. The Bolshevik communists are hypocrites. Every goddamn thing that they did, breach a contract, motherfucker. Everything that they promised, they lied about. From each according to their ability to each according to their needs. What about the mean Marxist theory of labor value? Marxist theory of labor value says that the cost of that product or service is all the shit that went into that product or service. So if I'm out in the field and I made a tomato, right? Okay, it was not just me going out there with the sweat, but it was also, the whatever, gathering, the tilling of the soil and the seeds and every bit of the process. So you might pay me $1, for my labor, but I guess Marxist labor theory of value says that tomato isn't worth what the customer thinks it's worth. It's not worth what you think you can get for it. It's worth how much labor you put into the damn thing. Did you put 1 hour of labor? Did you put 20 hours of labor into it? So Marxist theory of labor is you respect labor, essentially is what I get all through all of that. There's a lot to it, but you respect labor. But if you killed 5 million people in the Civil War, if you killed 1.5 million people in the Holodomor in 1921 in the Ukraine, if you killed 4 million people in the second Holodomor in the Ukraine, you don't give a shit about the people. You don't give a shit about the people. Stalin himself, he's anti-farmer, anti-peasant, anti-Ukraine. He don't give a shit about he don't care about nobody. He cares about power. He don't care about Marx's, theory of labor, of value. He don't care about that. Marx's theory of labor value. So how is stealing people's bread and grain respecting their labor that the working class put into making that bread and grain? It's not. Nationalizing everything. They want to take everything because they want to take their men. They're tyrannical men. They want the banks and the land and the oil and the minerals and the mines and the factories and buildings and the trees and the waters. Not for the poor and the peasants and the working class. Not for the proletariat. It's for the dictatorship of the proletariat. It's for themselves. Everything that they promised, every bit of it, peace, land, and bread, a big, strong nanny state. Not even that. You want a big, strong nanny state? Then go to Iceland. Karen, or Taryn, what's her name? Finland, Sweden, Germany, they all have strong welfare programs, in addition to being capitalist countries. So those countries were able to provide for their people. Make sure they had peace, land, and bread. So being elected is more powerful than a coup d'etat. Being an elected communist, could you imagine if a communist got elected and they believed in democracy and they had a peaceful turnover of power and they had peaceful secession? But instead of doing that, all power to the Soviets, all the workers get the factories. No, they get the factories and they choose who run the factories. And they started taking people's food straight up. Started stealing people's food. We need food, water, clothing, shelter. Stalin's like, well, we need that shit too. So you're going to take ours? So I don't think the Bolshevik communists give a goddamn flying fuck about anybody except for themselves. They cared about power. They're a bunch of politicians who lied and, we got Huey Longs. We got people out there that's, promising the world and shit. You want peace, land, and bread. You want communists and Bolsheviks. I think that they should be a part of the conversation in terms of being a leftist. The left and the right have been arguing about shit for years. Some things need to change. Some things need to stay the same. We need to care about the individual. We also need to care about the community. We also need to give a shit about people, but we also need to think with our head. Think with our heads. Think with our hearts. Think with our souls. We just need to strike that balance. peace, land, and bread are honorable ends, but not the way the Bolshevik communists went about the shit. Like I said, they made history their bitch. They were able to get, away with it. The Russian Revolution, fine. The Bolsheviks took power. Maybe that's how you had to do it in Russia. Maybe that's how you had to do it in Russia. You couldn't get away with that shit today. And you're not going to sit there and tell me to fucking worship these motherfuckers when you got so many, much more, more capable, more talented. You have democratic socialists. You got Finland and Denmark, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Uruguay, Sweden, Germany, France, Norway, Iceland. What the fuck you need a Bolshevik communist for? What the fuck you need a Bolshevik communist for? You got Katrin Jakobsdottir. You got Jakobsdottir. You don't need Trotsky when you got Jakobsdottir. You don't need Lenin when you got Ardern. You don't need Lenin or Trotsky or Stalin when you got Meta and Sanna Marin and Maggie Anderson. Give me Jacinda-ism. Give me Katrinism. Give me Meta-ism any day of the week. Give me Sanna Marinism any day of the week. Give me Magdalena Andersonism any day of the week. Fuck the communist Bolshevik motherfuckers.